If you've ever dreamed of making soft, fluffy, and perfectly glazed donuts like the ones from Dunkin' Donuts in your own kitchen, you're in the right place. With this detailed recipe, you'll recreate that bakery-style taste and texture at home. Let's get started. Ingredients you'll need for the dough: 3 1/4 cups all-purpose flour, 2 1/4 teaspoons active dry yeast, 1/2 cup warm whole milk, around 110 degrees Fahrenheit or 43 degrees Celsius, 1/2 cup warm water, around 110 degrees Fahrenheit or 43 degrees Celsius, 1/4 cup granulated sugar, 2 large eggs, room temperature, 4 tablespoons unsalted butter, softened 1/2 teaspoon salt, 1/2 teaspoon vanilla extract, vegetable oil for frying, about 4 cups for the glaze, 1 cup powdered sugar, 2 tablespoons milk, 1/2 teaspoon vanilla extract, optional toppings, chocolate glaze, melted chocolate mixed with a bit of milk, sprinkles, cinnamon sugar. Step 1. Activate the yeast. The foundation of any good donut is the yeast. Start by activating it. In a small bowl, combine the warm water and yeast along with 1 teaspoon of sugar. Stir gently and let it sit for about 5 to 10 minutes. You'll know it's ready when it becomes frothy and bubbly. This means your yeast is active and alive. Step 2. Prepare the dough. In a large mixing bowl or stand mixer, combine the flour, sugar, and salt. In another bowl, whisk together the warm milk, softened butter, eggs, and vanilla extract. Once the yeast is activated, add it to this wet mixture. Slowly pour the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients while mixing on low speed, if using a stand mixer with a dough hook. If you don't have a stand mixer, you can knead the dough by hand. Mix until the dough comes together and forms a sticky yet smooth ball. Step 3. Knead the dough. If you're using a stand mixer, continue kneading the dough for about 5 to 7 minutes on medium speed. If you're doing it by hand, knead on a lightly floured surface for about 10 minutes. The dough should be soft and elastic, slightly sticky but not too wet. After kneading, transfer the dough to a greased bowl, cover with plastic wrap or a kitchen towel, and let it rise in a warm place for about 1 to 1.5 hours, or until it doubles in size. Step 4. Shape the donuts. Once the dough has risen, punch it down to release the air. Roll the dough out on a lightly floured surface to about 1/2 inch thickness. Use a donut cutter or 2 round cutters, 1 large and 1 small, to cut out your donut shapes. Don't forget to save the little circles for donut holes. Place the donuts on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper, cover with a towel, and let them rise again for another 30 to 45 minutes. They should puff up nicely. Step 5. Fry the donuts. Heat the vegetable oil in a deep pot or Dutch oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 degrees Celsius. Use a thermometer to keep the oil temperature consistent. Fry the donuts in batches, about 2 to 3 at a time. Carefully lower them into the hot oil and fry for about 1 to 2 minutes on each side, or until they are golden brown. Use a slotted spoon to transfer the donuts to a plate lined with paper towels to drain excess oil. Repeat with the remaining donuts and donut holes. Step 6. Make the glaze. While your donuts are cooling, it's time to make the classic glaze. In a bowl, whisk together the powdered sugar, milk, and vanilla extract until smooth. For a chocolate glaze, melt chocolate with a splash of milk and whisk until smooth. Step 7. Glaze and decorate. Dip each warm donut into the glaze, making sure to coat the top and letting the excess drip off. Place the glazed donuts on a cooling rack, with a tray or parchment paper underneath to catch drips. If you're adding toppings like sprinkles or cinnamon sugar, do so while the glaze is still wet. Let the glaze set for a few minutes before serving. Step 8. Enjoy. Once the glaze has set, your homemade Dunkin' Donuts style donuts are ready to be devoured. These donuts are soft, fluffy, and melt in your mouth, just like the ones from your favorite bakery. Tips for perfect donuts. Use fresh yeast. Make sure your yeast isn't expired, as fresh yeast ensures a good rise. Maintain oil temperature. Use a thermometer to keep the oil between 350 degrees Fahrenheit and 375 degrees Fahrenheit. If the oil is too hot, the donuts will burn on the outside and be raw on the inside. If it's too cool, the donuts will absorb too much oil and become greasy. Don't overcrowd the pot. Fry the donuts in small batches to avoid dropping the oil temperature. Be patient. Letting the dough rise properly is key to getting that light, airy texture. Bonus: you can even get creative by experimenting with fillings like custard or jam to make filled donuts for an extra special treat.